You're welcome to this training on the use of digital multimeter in carrying out troubleshooting in your electrical circuitry. So like we all know, the digital multimeter is a very powerful tool in the hands of a knowledgeable technician. So once you appreciate the functionalities of this digital multimeter and you appreciate your circuitry, the components of your circuit and the equipment that you are looking at, the digital multimeter is a very powerful tool. It will be a very powerful tool in your hands. So sit back as we go into this training on the use of digital multimeter in troubleshooting electrical circuitry.
But first, let us highlight what we hope to achieve in the course of this program. That is the objectives of this program on the use of digital multimeter for troubleshooting your electrical circuitry. First, at the end of the program, you appreciate the functionalities, the various functions of the digital multimeter. So I will encourage you to hold your pen and your paper, write these objectives down, so that as they are being achieved in you, you will check them out. So that is the first objective that we hope to achieve. That is, if you are not familiar with the digital multimeter before, you are going to at the end of this program be familiar with the various functions of the digital multimeter and what they are used for. Then secondly, you are going to appreciate how to use this digital multimeter to test different electrical components and equipment. As you will see later, we are going to cover some of the electrical equipment that you will come across in the course of your carrying out your duty as an electrical technician. So you are going to appreciate how you will use this digital multimeter to test, to ascertain whether these various components and equipment, they are fit for use. And then finally, we are going to highlight how you can use the digital multimeter to carry out troubleshooting and repairs of electrical machines, electrical circuitry. So these are the objectives that we hope to achieve in the course of this program. So to help us to achieve all of these objectives, we have broken down this program into a series of topics. So these topics, we hope that at the end of the day, will help us to achieve all of those objectives that are outlined. So first, in the program, we are going to cover the basic functions of the digital multimeter to enhance your understanding of these various functions of the digital multimeter. So, which means that we are going to cover the basic as to your understanding the digital multimeter, what the various functions are used for. Then secondly, we are going to look at how you can use the digital multimeter to troubleshoot your electric motor and the electric motor circuitry, to include the electric motor control circuit. And then thirdly, we are going to look at transformers, how you can use the digital multimeter to troubleshoot your transformers, and including the transformer circuitry. Okay, so and next we are going to look at how you use the digital multimeter to troubleshoot your generators. And lastly, we are going to look at how you can use the digital multimeter to troubleshoot your printed circuit board, the PCBs. Okay, but there is something that you need to appreciate. What you need to appreciate is the fact that your understanding of how these various equipment and component work is very important for your carrying out your troubleshooting with the digital multimeter. So if you don't appreciate what to expect when you are doing this test, of course you will achieve little or nothing. So your appreciation of the physics of operations of these various components, how they interact with the entire circuitry, will help you to ascertain what to expect from a component that is working normally or properly. Okay, so there is no substitute for that. So you must appreciate all of that. So, having said all of this, remember, you were advised to get your digital multimeter, your own personal digital multimeter. It is very inexpensive. You can get it from any of those electronic shops around. Get your digital multimeter so that as we are explaining, you will be looking at these functions alongside the explanation. Okay? So let us go into the digital multimeter proper, understanding the basic functions of the digital multimeter. So on your screen now, you will see a digital multimeter. So in the middle of the digital multimeter, you see the selector switch, okay, or the range selector. And then you will see different functions of your digital multimeter, okay. So these different functions are used to test for different parameters in your circuitry. So now let us look at these parameters or these functions, okay, of the digital multimeter one after the other. Now, before you carry out your test, you need to select the proper function. For example, if you want to test for AC voltage, you will turn this your selector switch to the AC voltage range. That is what we mean by making the proper selection before you can carry out your basic test. Okay, so now if you look to the digital multimeter, let's start from the lower left. Okay, so if you look at the lower left, you will see that we have an ohm symbol, OHM, ohm symbol. Okay, so this clearly tells you that from here to here, you can use it to test for what? The resistance of your resistor, of your winding, or of your circuitry. It could be contact, it could be your cable, okay, or joints, whatever you want to test the resistance. So now this range of the selector or these functions, they are used to test for what? For your resistance or resistor. So when you want to test resistance in your circuitry, you turn this your selector switch to the resistance section of the digital multimeter. Okay? Then after carrying out your test, it is advisable that you switch off the digital multimeter to save the battery. Anyway, digital multimeters these days, they have the energy saving mode that will automatically put off the digital multimeter if you don't use it for a particular amount of time. So now we will see how you can use this range later to carry out the resistance test. Then the next that we are going to look at is the voltage section. If you look at it clearly, you will see that we have two different types of voltage to be tested. Okay, this one that have straight lines, this is for your DC voltage. So when you want to test DC voltage in the circuit, you turn your selector switch to any of these points in this range. Okay, so this range is for the test of DC voltage. So later we'll see how you can use it, how you can connect the digital multimeter to test for your DC voltage. Then the other parameter that you can test is the alternating current or AC voltage. So on that range, you see the V sign carrying that sinusoidal wave sign. Okay, that is to tell you that what you can use that range to test is the AC voltage. Okay, so when you want to test your AC in your circuitry, you turn this knob, the selector switch, to this range, and then you can do your test. Then the other ones that we can see is the DC current range. Okay, so here is used to test for the DC current that is flowing in your circuitry. Okay, so we will see how you can carry out the tests later. Okay, then of course all of these, they are not frequently used. Then here is the continuity test, and it's also used to test for diode. You can see the diode symbol. Okay, so this one is for continuity test. That is the beep to show that whatever that you are testing, the line that you are testing is continuous. Okay, or what you are testing is joined together, they have connection. So when they have connection, on that selection, you will hear that beep. Okay, you can also use any of the resistance range. If there is connection, you will see 0 resistance. If there is no connection, you will see it appearing as a overload or infinite resistance, very high resistance, no matter the range. Okay, you select in that ohm or the resistance section of the digital multimeter. Okay, so this is for the test of your transistors. Okay, digital the transistors, electronic transistors. Okay, so when you make that selection, the PNP and NPN transistors, you can fix them into this slot and then carry out your tests. Okay, so here are the input jack for carrying out your test. So your test lead, okay, these are the slots that you put there. The black is always put in the common slot. Okay, then the red, for you to test, you can see it, for you to test your resistance, you see voltage, ohms and milliamps. Okay, you place your red probe here. Okay, then here is to test for current. So between here and here, you can see the connection on the meter. Okay, so it's between here and here. Then here is for your volts, ohms, the milliamps. Okay, the range, both your DC voltage, AC voltage, and your resistance test. Okay, so the common is here, and the red probe is placed here. So that is the various function of the digital multimeter. So next, we want to see how these functions are used. Okay, how you can use this function in carrying out troubleshooting in your circuitry. Remember, and most importantly, you must understand the physics of operation of whatever component that you are testing. Whatever equipment, you must understand how it operates before you can effectively use this digital multimeter. So the digital multimeter is like the stethoscope to you, okay, to you as a technician, an electrical technician. It is like a stethoscope to a doctor. So if the doctor does not appreciate the physiology of the human body, of course, there's nothing he can deduce from whatever sound he will be listening to. Okay, so if you appreciate how this equipment function, as you are carrying out the test, you will definitely be able to know if the equipment is good or bad, or a problem is developing. So if a problem is developing, you also be able to ascertain with the digital multimeter. So what you see here are the probes, okay? So this black probe, okay, you see the input jack is slotted into this slot. And then this red probe, okay, the input jack is slotted into this particular slot for you to test for your resistance, test for your voltage, test for your milliamp current. Then when you want to test for something that is higher up to 10 amps, okay, you remove it from here and place it here. So let's see how these various functions are used. There is something we also need to appreciate in this digital multimeter, okay? When you look at the various functions selected or selections, you will see that we have different range, okay? That is, they are in a range, okay? So when you are testing, maybe when your circuit is active, maybe you are testing voltage, okay? It is preferable, if you are not too sure of the circuit voltage, it is preferable you test with the highest range. Assuming you are testing an AC circuit, the highest range here is 750, okay? So it is advisable you test with 750. So when you notice that it is less than the other range, okay, you can decide to reduce, or you leave it at that upper range. So it is too with the DC voltages and your current ranges. Then if you are testing resistances, it is, resistance is tested when the circuit is dead, okay? That is, power is out of the circuit. So you can actually take any of the selection, but if you are testing with a range that is far higher, okay, you get a reading of say 1. That is to tell you that it is far below the range. So when you get that 1, you reduce the range until you start getting a meaningful value on your display. Then if the range that you selected is less than the value of the resistance that you are testing, of course you will see that the display on your digital multimeter will be showing overload or infinity, okay, to tell you that it is a very high resistance. So when you see it like that, you increase the range. So as you are increasing the range, you start having some values that will be meaningful. So when you increase it to a range that is higher than the resistance that you are testing, then you start having meaningful value. So the digital multimeter that you are seeing on the left of your screen now, this is another form of the digital multimeter. But if you look at it critically, you will see that there are no range. We only have the various functions. The first one here is for AC circuit, as you can see. The other one is for your DC circuit, the millivolts, okay, the millivolts test, the continuity and the resistance test, capacitance test, the diode test, okay, then the current test, milliamp range, and also the amp range, excuse me, and then the microamp range, okay. So how do you do your range selection with this kind of digital multimeter? If you look at the third button in the up, you see where you can do your range selection, okay. So when you select, for example, you select voltage, that is, you toggle your selector switch to the voltage voltage selection, okay. So to select the range, you press the range button, Okay, so with the range button, you can toggle between the various voltage ranges that the digital multimeter can measure. Okay, so if it is 200, 750, 1000, okay, as you are pressing on that range button, it will be changing. Then after measurement, you can see the common button. If you want to test for voltage, the common button is for the black probe. If you want to test for voltage, resistance and continuity, the red probe should be here. The milliamp and microamp, your red probe will be here. Therefore, ampere, okay, higher current in this case, your amp probe will be here. So we will see how the test is done later. Okay, so here you can see that we have the continuity, resistance, and also the capacitance test. Okay, so with this you can, once you have it on that range, with this you can select the continuity. Okay, so it's just for you to appreciate these two different types of digital multimeter. But once you appreciate these symbols, whatever type of digital multimeter that you are holding, you know V with an a sinusoidal waveform either above or below it is for alternating current voltage. Then the one with straight lines, as you can see, they are for what? For DC voltages. Then of course the millivolts, the resistance, the continuity, and those that you can use to test for diodes. Okay, so the symbols, they are universal. So whatever digital multimeter you are holding, you will also get the same thing.